is the verse of the day, and we are looking at Exodus chapter 4 from verse 1. Let's start from verse 1. And this is an encounter between Moses when God appears to him in the burning bush. And God tells him, I'm going to send you back to Egypt. I can hear my people are in bondage, and you are going to be the one to set them free. I'm going to use you to do this great feat. And Moses naturally responds and says, but suppose they don't believe me. This is verse 1. Or they don't listen to my voice. Or suppose they say, the Lord has not appeared to you. And then the Lord said to Moses, what is that in your hand? A few things before I proceed. Notice how Moses came up with a ton of excuses. Suppose they don't believe me. Suppose they don't listen to me. Suppose they don't believe that you are who you say you are, that you did appear to me in the first place. Moses comes up with about 2 or 3 excuses at the very first instance. And if you read on in chapter 4, there's a ton of other excuses Moses comes up with until God kind of has enough of his excuses. But the key thing is, one, when God asks you to do something, it's usually bigger than you expect. It's bigger than what you think you're capable of. But God's question to Moses was, what do you have in your hand? And then Moses was like, a rod. Fast forward, this same rod is what God used through Moses to orchestrate many of the plagues and many of the signs and wonders that Moses and the Israelites encountered in their time in Egypt, out of Egypt, and in the wilderness. This same thing. What's interesting is in chapter 14, Exodus as well, when they get to the Red Sea. So after all God has done, they get to the Red Sea, and there's another problem. And then Moses comes to God and is like, here we go again. What should I do? At this point, God is like, why are you coming to me? The same rod that I spoke to you about that is in your hand and still in your hand in chapter 4, 10 chapters ago, is what you've still got in your hand. Please stretch it across the water and it will part ways, and you and the children of Israel will walk on dry land. What's my point? Sometimes we forget. We forget that God has already placed in our hands what is sufficient for us to start what it is God wants us to start. We already have in our hands what's sufficient enough to start what God wants us to start. What is missing is our action and our obedience. When we take action through obedience, what happens is what's in our hands becomes compounded by the power of God. You can't sit and wait for the power of God to suddenly fill you up and think that, oh yeah, now I'm ready to do something. 9 times out of 10, that's not the power of God. That's probably just your ego or your pride talking, or some false illusion that you've developed over time. Most times when God asks you to do something, you feel inadequate because God's picture of you is always bigger than your picture of yourself. So when God asks you to do something, the picture of it will blow you away. You'll be like, I can't do that. That's one sign. Second sign is you have to have obedience. And immediately you take a step, what usually happens is when you apply what you have in your hands through obedience to what God is telling you to do, God compounds it. He takes something small, like a staff, and uses it to part the Red Sea. He takes something small, like 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and feeds 4,000 or 5,000 people. He takes something small, like the widow and Elijah, who had just a little basin of flour and a little bit of oil, but then it lasted her throughout the whole drought season. That's how God works. Why? So when people see your works, when people see what you do, they cannot boil it down to natural ability, but they will give glory to your Father in heaven. Because when people see your works, they know that this is not the works of natural ability. This is supernatural capability that can only come from God. That's why God does it that way. That's why He asks you to do something bigger than you can see yourself doing, with less than you think you need to do it. So by the time He compounds it, people will see your works and give Him the glory. I hope this helps someone. I hope it gives you courage. I hope it gives you the conviction to do what God is asking you to do. Until the next time.